Hi everyone. Today we are going to look at our daily routines and expectations in individuals and societies. So make sure you've got those guided notes, and at the very top where it says I can, write in that learning target, I can describe the daily expectations in our flexible classroom. All right, so let's take a look at what you need each day. There's 3 things I said you have to bring every day. The first one is your device. So you can write that in your notes, your laptop, your Chromebook, whatever. The second thing, is that 3-ring binder. So remember, that's a place where you're going to organize all of your materials and keep them until the end of the unit so that you can use them for that unit project. So that 3-ring binder. And then finally, something to write with. So can be a pen, pencil, whatever, but those are your top 3. So make sure you write those on your guided notes. Now, headphones are recommended, but not required. I do have some headphones available, but if you would like to use your earbuds or your headphones, you're welcome to do that. And then there are 2 things that you need to write down that are not permitted at all. One are food and any kind of drink that's not water. We have lots of allergies, so we want everyone to be safe. And then secondly, cell phones. And that just goes along with our away for the day policy here at Hillside. Okay, let's move on to when class begins. So it begins as soon as you walk through the door. So make sure you write that down. The first thing you do is you look at the board and it will tell you exactly what to do. There's always a do now, and you look for that do now when you walk in class. Sometimes the do now is on your do now sheet that you get from that side tray near the closets. But sometimes there's not a question on here. So you're always going to look at the board when you first come in, the Promethean board. Then you're going to look for your lesson checklist in Schoology and the on pace task that is going to be on the board as well. So you're looking for the lesson, what lesson we're on, you're looking for what the on-pace task is, and you're looking for that do now. So the first part of class, as soon as you come in, you're planning. You figure out where are you in the lesson by looking at your checklist. What do you need to complete today? What is your plan so that you stay current, so that you stay on pace? All right, flip your notes. And let's talk about work time. So first of all directions are found in Schoology. So you want to make sure that you know that. You can access them anytime, anywhere. So everything that you need. There's also copies of notes, digital copies of notes that you can have too, but you also get those in your packet. You need to make sure to follow these lesson steps. Now, this is just an example, but you'll have a cover sheet for your lessons, and that's found stapled to your packet. You're also going to be able to have a checklist that's digital on your computer within Wavia. We'll get to that later. So you have 2 places where you're tracking. Second of all, it is important to complete the activities in order. So you always start with the lesson video, and then there are practice activities that you do follow in order. Sometimes you'll have to submit things in Schoology, sometimes you'll have to check in with a teacher, but complete those in order. So make sure that you put in order. All right, so let's just take a look at materials for work time. So once you've filled out your plan, it is time to get to work. Materials for the lesson are always found in these lesson bins next to the closet. So you can they're found in the bins by the closet. There's also other materials you might need during work time. You might have your own supplies, of course, those top 3 things, but if you need supplies, if you need supplies like extra pencils, a pencil sharpener, headphones, those are all found in that same area. So we've got extra paper over here, colored pencils and things are here. You can't see the closet, but headphones are stored on the closet. And any extra art supplies, tissue, all of that stuff is by this wall. Now, I do ask that if you borrow something, please return it. So just in that line down there, if you borrow something, just put please return. All right, then once you've got your supplies, we move on to actual work time. So work time is based on you and your goal for the day. So that's why it's important to put that goal in and plan before you get started in class, and plan on your do now sheet. So first of all, you're going to be watching brief instructional videos and taking notes. So that might be one thing that you're doing. Now, if you watch a video one day, you might not be watching that video next day, depending on where you are in the lesson. You might also be working independently with a partner or with a small group on a lesson activity. So one of three ways. It could be independently, it could be with a partner, it could be with a small group. You also might be getting feedback from Mrs. Sims, me, or our student teacher. I might be interacting with you one-on-one and letting you know what you need to do. You also might be, doing a skills-based practice or checking your work to make sure that you are correct. So all this way that you're getting feedback and making sure that you're correct. Okay, now let's move on to the mastery check. Another thing you might be doing during work time is your mastery check. That's to show that you understand the lesson. Now, it is available on the target due date. It must be completed within 2 days after the target due date. It is independent with no partner, and you're not allowed to use notes on Schoology assessment. Now, there are other assessments, mini projects, where you might be able to use the notes, but not on any Schoology assessments. And then these are also always taken at the end of each lesson. You'll check in with your teacher. We'll take a look, make sure you understand everything, and then you go on and do the mastery check. All right, so how do we end class? So those are the things you might be doing. And then the end of class comes. First thing is clean up. Put your Chromebook away, put the headphones back if you borrowed them, any supplies you put away. Check the pacing tracker. Are you current? Okay, you can look. It will say on pace or it will say current. If you are, great. If not, then you have to make a decision. Should you come in during seminar for some extra help? Should you take something or work on something at home and have some homework? And then thirdly, you go back and sit at your table and wait for our last wrap up and dismissal. We always do some sort of wrap up where it's a review or a discussion question or something. So you do not line up, you wait to be dismissed by your table. All right, general expectations. You can just jot these down. Make sure you use your time wisely. This is your time. Respect everybody's learning space. You've got to ask questions and check in if needed, and always keep that growth mindset. If you can't do it, there's lots of ways to figure out how. So hopefully you understand all of the expectations for our flexible learning classroom this year.